Your time in Stockholm will be rushed compared to other ports, so you'll need to be selective on what you want to see. The two must-see attractions are the museums on Djurgarden Island or the old city of Gamla Stan. You can't do both in one day. Advanced planning will pay off so that you can make the most of your time in port. Be sure to know what you want to do for transportation, as your cruise ship may or may not offer a shuttle service to town. Let's get started. We'll see what we chose to do in Stockholm. Some cruise port logistics. Large cruise ships dock at Stockholm, which is at least a 30 to 45-minute walk to get to the city in Gamla Stan. Our cruise ship did not offer a shuttle to downtown Stockholm, so you have three options. Walk, takes a lot of time, taxi or bus, very expensive, or a hop-on, hop-off bus. We bought a 24-hour hop-on, hop-off bus ticket so that we could get to town from the cruise terminal, tour the city, and visit the museums on Djurgarden. The hop-on, hop-off bus meets you at the cruise terminal, so we hopped on it and headed to the museums. In the summer months, a hop-on, hop-off boat is also available. First stop, the Vasa Museum. It is a must-see museum that showcases the impressive Vasa, Europe's best preserved old warship. It's the only museum of its kind in the world and is the most visited site in Stockholm. It's also one of the best museums that I've personally visited. It's very well done and well worth a visit. The Vasa sank on her maiden voyage in 1628. It was salvaged and lovingly restored 333 years later in 1961. The ship's restoration is immaculate in its original form. The museum has also colorized several of the ship's ornamental carvings so that you can see what they would have looked like when the ship initially set sail. The details on the ship are simply amazing. It's richly decorated as a symbol of the Swedish king's ambitions for both his country and himself. When it was completed, Vasa was one of the most powerfully armed vessels in the world. Allow 1.5 to 2 hours to fully appreciate the museum. Watch the museum's film that explains how the Vasa was built, why she sunk, and how she was restored after being in the sea for such a long time. Then take a short 25-minute free guided tour to learn other interesting facts about the Vasa. Finish up by exploring the exhibits on your own. You can also get an audio guide if you'd like that. Within walking distance of the Vasa is the Nordic Museum. It exhibits 500 years of Swedish lifestyles in a wonderful setting. It's not as impressive as the Vasa, but worthy of a 60-minute or so visit. The Nordic Museum's permanent collection is on its top 2 floors, so begin your visit at the top and work your way back to the lobby, where you'll find the larger-than-life statue of King Gustav Vasa. The top 2 floors display artifacts related to homes and interiors, folk art, and the Sami are the indigenous people, as well as table settings and traditions. This cup is, with its blue and white design and gold etching, once belonged to the soprano Jenny Lind. The Skansen Open Air Museum features some 150 cultural historic buildings from all over Sweden and is another must-see museum. It includes a zoo with wild animals and is the venue for many traditional annual activities, markets, folk dance displays, and other celebrations. It's Europe's first and best open-air museum and was founded in 1891. It's a short 10-minute walk from the Vasa Museum as well. You can easily spend 2 or more hours visiting Skansen to see all that it has to offer. Wisconsin features historical environments and buildings from all over the country. You can learn about traditional Swedish folklore, and you'll find Viking rune stones. The Viking used runes for their written alphabet, and these stones date from the 11th century. The Siglora Church is from the 18th century. Its roof and walls are covered with oak shavings, tarred in a red shade. Inside, the Siglora Church is richly painted. The vaulted board roof has paintings from 1735. Beginning over the choir, you can follow the scenes from the life of Jesus, arranged in a sequence clockwise around the ceiling. In the middle of the ceiling is the symbol of God's all-seeing eye, a bright red triangle named Yahweh in Hebrew script. The Breidablik Tower was built in the 1870s by a doctor who wanted to start a spa. Spas were popular even back then. Some of the other sites in Wisconsin are the Hallstatt Belfry. It's the tallest belfry in Sweden and was built in the 1730s. The Skogelholm Manor is a typical central Sweden manor house from the end of the 18th century. After the museums, we hop back on the bus for a 60-minute tour of the city's key sites. This is Strandvagen Street with its beautiful residential architecture. The Central Post Office. The City Hall. Consider taking a tour if you have the time. The NK clock is a rotating neon sign on the roof of the department store, NK. The National Opera. The Parliament Building. The National Museum. Other magnificent residential architecture. The Royal Dramatic Theatre. The hop-on, hop-off bus gives you a nice overview of the city and saves you a lot of walking. That evening, we got an unexpected treat. The bridge crew spotted northern lights. Guest services will notify you if the lights are spotted if you ask to be put on the list. If you think seeing the northern lights is possible, register at guest services at the start of your cruise. While our photos are not the best, it was very cool to experience this while in Sweden. Even on the balcony of the ship, we had amazing views of the city. The Globen Indoor Arena. Look over to see Djurgarden Island, where you'll see the Nordic Museum and the Gröna Lund amusement park. Wisconsin's Belfry and the Breidablik Tower are also readily visible as well. As you sail away in the Stockholm Archipelago, you are greeted by God our Father on the Rainbow Fountain and two Easter Island-like statues. As you cruise out of Stockholm, view it from the bow to soak in all of its magnificent scenery. The captain normally opens the bow for a couple of hours. Cruising commentary can be heard in the ship's crow's nest, on outside decks, and the bow camera channel in your stateroom as well. Sailing through the archipelago takes about 4 to 5 hours, so enjoy the ride. It must be completed during daylight hours, so most cruises will leave Stockholm hours earlier than other ports of call. Taking a boat trip through Stockholm's archipelago also makes little sense, since you'll see much of the same scenery here as you sail in and out of the city. Look at how still and beautiful the archipelago is on a sunny day. Our time in Stockholm was rushed compared to other ports because your sail in the Stockholm Archipelago must be done during daylight hours, so we arrived in Stockholm around noon. Thus, we pre-planned our day to make sure we got to see our must-see attractions on Djurgarden Island. The cruise ship docks far away from downtown, so you'll need to know how you want to get around the city, since our cruise ship did not offer a shuttle service. That's why we used a hop-on, hop-off bus tour as our mode of transport. Our upfront planning let us get a lot of sightseeing done in one day. Thanks for watching. If you found the video helpful or informative, please like the video or consider subscribing to the channel, as I really do appreciate it.